I'm so inconsistent.
What you want, what you want.
Before Honors Hangout and everything else, there was a project that I kept saying I wanted to do, yada yada, amped it all up, and then nothing. We're going to work on that project now. The thing that I was wanting to make and was super excited about is a spider. Not a normal freaking spider. Everybody does spiders. I'm going to do a pumpkin spider. This is going to be a pumpkin that has morphed into a spider. The gist of it is I got a base pumpkin here that I started a long time ago. Never ever did anything with this, so I don't have any footage on making this. We're going to wind up cutting the stem off, and this is going to be, this pumpkin will be the abdomen of the spider. So we'll do this all up. It'll look like a pumpkin. And then, of course, the body and head parts all going to look like the stem coming out of the ground. So basically, it's the stems, the legs, and all that good stuff. And then, bam, we got a pumpkin for the abdomen. I thought it was a cool idea. I thought it was neat. You know, really twisting a pumpkin into a different creature. So a super fast rundown on how I've got this base pumpkin is I took a balloon, blew up the balloon, just like anything else, and my paper mache the balloon. And once I got a good structure on the balloon, popped it, pulled it out. I cut the top off of the balloon, then turned that upside down, stuck it back in here, taped it up, and then mached this so it gives this kind of concave section to the top. I was trying different things than just the standard ways to make pumpkins or even the videos that I already have out, right? You know, the normal pumpkin and the second generation pumpkin and all that. I do them, they're cool, whatever, but I just try to play around and find out, use other ways to do stuff, and that's how you learn, right? We got this as a base. I'm going to cut this off. I've got some CPVC, ½ inch. I know it's not a real strong structure, but hopefully by the time this is all done, this is going to be light. And then I've got some PVC 45s. My plan is I'm going to cut this off here. We're going to put a piece of PVC in here, see PVC come out so far, cut it off, and then we'll be gluing these on. It just dawned on me I don't have everything I need. Anyway, the gist of it's put the PVC in there, and then these are going to be the bends, each bend and knuckle for the legs to come down. Hopefully the legs will be able to support this up. We're only going to use cotton and mache paste to create the pumpkin ridges on this. Clay is much faster, but clay's heavier. Doing the cotton and mache will keep this nice and light, so it should be able to support itself. So that's why I'm running with cotton and mache paste. Alright, so I'm going to wind up getting cross tees because I'm going to need them. I can't believe I forgot them. But first thing I'm going to do is cut this stem off. So let's at least cut this off. Look at that cross section. Just like one of those cooking videos. Oh, yeah. Looks like sausage. So we got that cut off. That's where we're going to put the CPVC structure. Anyway, the original plan was I was going to use some ½ inch CPVC 4-way tees, right? You used to be able to get those anywhere. Couldn't find them anywhere. Couldn't find them in Home Depot. Couldn't find them at Lowe's or anything like that. So we're going to do a bit of a, well, I'm going to do a bit of a workaround. I've got 1/2-inch PVC. The only reason I was using CPVC is because it's smaller in diameter, and I wanted the structure of the legs to be pretty small so we didn't bulk everything out and get all kind of funky on us. This is 1/2-inch PVC, and I've got 1/2-inch CPVC couplings, and they'll actually fit into this coupling or into this T pretty snug, pretty nice. I'll glue it in, then I'll be able to just take another one, stick it on top, and we're going to create this structure through this, and that's what I'll use to connect the legs to and do all that good stuff as well. So I'm going to be able to convert this down and still make this work the same way that I originally wanted it to. I'm going to go ahead and build this, put this together so I can get it stuck onto the end of our pumpkin. Then I'll put that up on a stand and we'll start doing all the ridge work and making this thing look like a pumpkin using cotton balls and mache paste. Okay, now we got this little structure going on here, and I went ahead and hot glued it inside the stem, and it's close to straight. This pumpkin wasn't made particularly straight because it was going to be a pumpkin. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to run some tape, and we're going to tape around this. We're going to come around these two joints here and tape this all together, kind of help it become more one solid piece, and then whenever we lay the mache over it, it'll just help all that stuff out and help it become one piece, which is what we want. So I'm probably going to go ahead and tape all the way down to here because mache doesn't really like to stick to plastic that much. I mean, it does, but if you put some tape on it, it's easier for it to grip. And I left this little one sticking out here. I don't know if I'm going to need another piece of CPVC to push into here, you know, to give something more for the head to stick to. I don't know. I have no idea at this point in time. I'm not even sure how the head's really going to look. The whole focus is this is a pumpkin, and the stem part in here is turned into the legs and the body and, you know, the head, that type of stuff. So it's a pumpkin spider. It's going to be freaking cool, man. It's different. That's what we're going for. I'm a simple man. Don't want a complication. Boom. That easy. There it is. So that'll work. Yeah, there should be 4 legs for the spider, but in this circumstance, doing it like this, it would really make this body really long. I don't want it to be that way. 3 on each side's enough to give off the illusion that this is a spider. Plus, this is a pumpkin spider, so who's going to tell me how many freaking legs this thing has to have? It ain't a real spider, right? It could only have 6 legs. Yeah, that's what we're going to go with. So we're going to start cotton balls and mache paste. Start getting this pumpkin structure going on. And then the mache paste that I'm using is just Type Bond 2 wood glue and water. That's it. No flour, no anything else. It's just wood glue and water. Dry strong, helps with weather protection, so and it works. Thought I'd slow down just a bit and kind of show you what I'm doing to tuck these down into this area in here. So basically it's just one strand of cotton, and I just kind of smash it together at the end. See if I can do this and keep the camera angle right. And just lay it down into that crevice, just like that. Let it roll over the side, and then bring it down the side of the pumpkin. Just like that. Okay. Then, before I mess with anything in that center, I'm going to go ahead and brush on some Mache paste right along this. We'll get this all tacked down first before we move into anything else. And just like any other project I've done with Groundbreaker and the zombie and whatever, with the cotton, I mean, you can either smash this down hard, make it flat, or you can leave it, not use so much pressure, and kind of leave a little, you know, a little hump in it. Then getting to back to the inside. Let's see if I can do this to keep you guys in focus. Basically, at the beginning of this part, I'm just dripping on the Mache paste so it kind of soaks into this cotton. That way it doesn't want to pull with my brush when I run the brush over. Now that I got quite a bit of Mache paste on there, I can go ahead and use my brush to brush this down, brush it in, and kind of form it a little bit. If you try to do that too early, if you don't have enough saturation on there, your brush will just kind of grab and pull that cotton, and it just kind of goes everywhere. So if you load that cotton up first with the Mache paste, then you can get away with brushing that out. I want to widen this section right in here a little bit, so we're just going to take another piece of cotton, and I'm going to cut it in half, tear it in half at this point. We got plenty of paste that's on the pumpkin itself to tack it down, so we're just going to run it. And towards the top, I'm going to kind of tuck it in a little bit towards the top to keep that shape, you know, at the end of the pumpkin where it kind of thins out. And we'll let it widen out down here at the bottom of it. And we're just going to brush this on as well. Once this all dries up, I'm probably going to have to go over it again on the outside, you know, around the whole thing, just on basically the centers, and build a few more layers up just to thicken it and give it more of a ridge. But once it dries, it'll be easier to do that. You can put more pressure into it and stuff, and you'll be able to keep these shapes. Right now you got to have a little bit of finesse with it, so you're not losing that hump that you're trying to build up. Now we're going to add one here to the other side, to the top side as well. And I always try to kind of, if it's kind of lumpy at the end, I always try to pull it so I can feather it out. Alright, so that kind of widens out that area there. We're going to come back in here and widen this out a bit just by doing the same thing. I'm just going to take smaller strips, I'll lay it in here, and I'm going to bring it into the center, and then I'll brush that down. Then I'll lay another one on, a little wider here, bring it to the center, and brush that down. And that's kind of how we get this look going on inside here. That's like the pumpkin going in. It's not too difficult, but when you're working with cotton can be, it's fun, but it can be irritating at times too. So you just use some patience, and you'll get it there. So I'm going to continue on with that. get this first half finished up, and then we'll flip it over. I'll see you guys when I flip this thing back over again. I'm just going to continue this style, one strip at a time, widen it out, bring it narrow it down here at the basically the bottom and back side of this thing. We're just going to run this all the way around, do the same thing we just did there. Then I'll let this thing set up and dry. Once it dries up, then we'll come back in and we'll layer some more up on it. Once we get this stuff settled in and done, we'll move on to the body and get this thing done.
Complication. I'm a simple man, don't want a complication. Complication.
There we go. It's a pretty decent start. Got all the way around this thing in one night. Made some of that, kind of that classic pumpkin shape I like. I like the cotton. It creates this kind of creepy texture. Really like it. I think it's going to look good. I'm going to let this set up and dry because it's going to shrink up quite a bit too after it dries out. So once this dries out, I'm going to repeat this process again, and I'm going to go ahead and layer this up another time. I'll bring it thicker in the centers and that type of stuff and kind of blend it all in a little bit better. But that's the initial base. It's done. We need to let it dry. We'll throw some more on. And once that's done and I'm satisfied with the way that looks, we'll move on to the rest of it. So not a bad place to stop right here. So pretty much dried up. I'm just going to hit this one more time. I'm going to do this layer, get this done so we can let that dry up so we can move on to the body and do some interesting stuff and kind of get this thing wrapped up. Once we get to the body, it shouldn't take too long, and then we can move on to paint and things like that. So getting after this, we'll catch you guys on the other side. It's dried up pretty decent. The texture in here doesn't look too bad. It, it's got that pumpkin shape all the way around. So now we're going to start doing all the legs, right? Getting these things set up and glued into place. And I already went ahead and I measured these things out and made cuts on them and stuff, and kind of laid it all out first off so I could get a good look at it instead of having you guys watch me fumble through all of that. I'm going to tell you the measurements here in just a minute. What I'm using is 1/2 inch CPVC pipe. And I think overall it took me like 15 foot of 1/2 inch CPVC. And then a bunch of 45s. It was like 20 45s. On this side you can see where it's got some writing that's raised up. And then this other side here is smooth. That smooth side fits right into this PVC socket, so it works out really nice. The other side with the writing on it, if you really forced it and jammed it in there, it would fit, or you could sand that stuff off. But why sand it off when you got a flat side that already fits? So we're going to be using these. We're going to be coming right out of this with 45s to start all the leg work, and every joint's going to be a 45 all the way through. On the rear legs, here's what I wound up with. I've got 2 pieces that are 6 inches long, 2 pieces that are 4 inches long, and then 2 pieces that are 10 inches long. The 6 inch are going to come in, they're going to be the beginning of the legs, then we'll put a 45 on it, then we'll run the 4 inch pieces, the 45 facing back down to the ground, and we'll put the 10 inch from that on down. Okay? The middle legs, I didn't I set this up a couple different ways, and at first I had them where all the legs were basically just kind of the same shape all the way out. I didn't really like that, so I changed up stuff on the middle. That way it just has a just more appealing visually. So again, we got 6-inch, two 6-inch pieces of CPVC. All the legs here coming out start off at 6-inch. Then we got two more 4-inch pieces, and then we got two 5-inch pieces. So on these, instead of it having 145 and out, we're going to wind up, oh, and I got two small, these are about a 1/2 inch. Because what we're going to do on these, when it comes right out the 6, we're going to put two of these together flush like this, and we're bringing the leg straight back down, so it doesn't come out. It's going to come up and then straight down and then bend again. It gives these center legs it's just more appealing the way it looks. But you can set your legs up however you want to do that. This is just how I'm doing it. And then for the front, again, we got two 6 inches that are going to be uprights, two 4 inches, just like the back, that's going to space out. But then we're going to go, I'm using 11.5 inches for these front two legs, because I really want them to kind of stick way out front. You see some of those pictures where the front legs are really sprawled out in front of it, and that's kind of the look that I'm going for. So that's what we're doing. Right now I'm going to go ahead and glue all this together, get it all in place, let it set up, and we'll go from there. I had this all laid out before, and I probably should have put some marks where I had the angles on these 45s and where they were at, just to make it easier for me to get back to the same direction, but I think it's going to work no matter what, so we're just going to go for it. Totally recommend going ahead and setting it up and then giving yourself some indicating lines where everything was, and you got all those angles so you can go back together with it. That way you're getting all your ends of your feet touching the ground, things like that. This one here isn't quite touching. That one over there isn't touching. I may just take a heat gun and bend it down a little bit more to do that. But first thing I want to do is wrap all this with tape. I'm going to wrap the legs up with tape. We've already got the main structure wrapped with tape. We're going to wrap this with tape because I'm just going to apply... I thought about doing clay and sculpting in the vine or the viney texture. I don't want to do that. I really want to keep this as skinny as possible. So we're going to use probably just Mache paste and some toilet paper and put it on here and create our own kind of viney texture for it that way. But the first thing I want to do is wrap this stuff up, then we'll bulk out some sections on the body and start machining this thing. Just to show you something real quick to try to help, I don't want, I'm trying to keep this stuff as thin as possible, but to try to help hide this fitting to make it flow more like a spider's leg or whatever. First thing I'm doing is I'm going to take tape and stretch it all the way across. It kind of gives you a little bit of an arch there, or more of a slant than just wrapping tape to it. So I'm doing that first, and then I'll come back again with a little more tape around all the edges there to kind of blend that together. That at least makes that not quite so notchy right there. Now that all that taping's done, I'm going to do a little bulk out just right in this area right here. Probably bulk out into here on this front side, and then narrow it back just beyond here where it's tapering back into this stem that would go into the pumpkin. We'll get that stuff bulked out, taped up, then start the mache process from there. Once we get a layer of mache and stuff on it, we'll probably add eyes and some pinchers and things like that. But we need to get this main structure going on first. A lot of the pictures I see on spiders, there's another like little crest type of hump thing right here on the top side of the head there where the eyes kind of go in, and I'm going to kind of build that out of newspaper and shape it and tape that down as well. Alright, so there we go. We've got our little hump, raised up hump thing here. I don't know if I can do that. It goes quite a ways back onto him. I think that's going to work out decent. I am going to put some pinchers on here, but I think I'm going to do that after this first layer of mache is put on this and it dries out, and then we'll add these pinchers on after that. Next thing we've got to do is just start machining this up. Now I'm not going to use newspaper on this. I'm going to use paper towels. They're going to soak up a whole lot of mache paste. Takes a little bit more. They dry pretty hard, but they're easier to contour around these curves and things like that. So I'm going to use that. We're going to brush this stuff on. I'm probably going to let that dry out before I really do anything else, because when I start doing these legs, I'm really going to have to flip this thing back and forth and over, and I don't want to mess up anything that I've done. So we're going to get this layer on, let it dry. Alright, so we're working on some texture on the legs here, and working on kind of a I don't know, like a viney look that's going to be how that stem's going to look, and I'll show you how I'm doing this before I get too carried away. To get this kind of twisted, viney look that's going on here, and I'm going to wind up doing, after this dries, I'm going to do a layer of just kind of toilet paper over all of it to kind of just blend it all in and get rid of the tape lines that you can see. But anyway, to do these little vines, I'm just taking a piece of toilet paper, starting at one corner, and just basically just rolling it up into like a little snake, almost. The tighter you go, the thinner the vine will be, you know, that type of stuff. But we're just twisting that up. So basically I've got something like this. Then, if I can do this without getting in the way, brushing on paste where I want to go. That way it gives it something to kind of tack down to. And we're just taking this and putting it, just kind of laying it in place, putting some curves and twists in it, you know, and just moving it around till it kind of has just kind of a shape that I want. Once it's laying there, I'm coming back in with the brush, really loaded up with Mache paste. And I'm really going to saturate this. I want this Mache paste to get way down in that roll of toilet paper there, so it just really soaks it all up. And when it dries up, it should be a pretty hard little rope. And also, the more you saturate this, and I'm going to go back in just a minute with my fingers and kind of smooth it in on the edges a little bit and bring it into the leg just a little bit more. That way, whenever I go to wrap this later, it'll be an even smoother transition on this outer layer of toilet paper that we're going to add on. I got a different route at first, and I kind of liked it, and then I decided I didn't like it, so I ripped it off. I started playing with this. I've never really done the texturing like this before. And it's kind of neat, so I thought I'd run with it. Like I said, I wasn't going to use clay because I didn't really want to bulk these legs out. I wanted them to be thin because it adds a creepy factor to it. And I don't think this is going to bulk out the legs really. It's just going to add some interest to the legs, so you can tell it's kind of a twisty vine. And we're going to do this to the whole entire body too, all the way through, because I mean all this is supposed to be the stem that's turned into this spider. So I want to continue this down the whole thing, do the body, do all the rest of these legs. Probably flatten out when I come into this area, really flatten out around in here so I can get the eyes in. And then after the eyes are in, I'll do something different to kind of texture it and bring it all together. Anyway, I'm just going to continue the same process on the rest of the legs all the way through and then work the body. I don't really see any need filming it. Showed you how I did it right there. I don't think we need, you guys really need to suffer to just watch me put one piece after another on. So we'll come back once I got the stuff all covered up. Pretty much all the toilet paper texturing viney stuff is done. I'm going to turn the camera here in a minute and show you guys where I'm at. But what's going to happen now, since this is done, I'm just going to take toilet paper and go all over this thing and kind of blend everything in and mix it all together, make it kind of more uniform. So anyway, I'll show you where we're at. So basically, here's where we're at. I'm so close to this thing, sorry guys. But you can see we've got texturing this viney stuff all up and down the legs, here and here, and then we got it running all the way through, you know, the top side of the body, and it comes in underneath. So the plan is, right in here, we're going to have a couple pinchers that come out here, and then I'll probably run some more vine type things around so they're kind of up onto the pincher so it looks more cohesive. And I bought these little red jewel bead things that I'm going to put in here on the eyes. Once the eyes are in, if we need to do more texturing around those, we'll do that. But I wanted to leave this kind of clear for now so I could set up a whole bunch of eyes in here. The bottom's pretty much textured up as well. And that's where I'm starting today. I'm going to start on the bottom and layer up the toilet paper going over the top. I'm just going to wind up brushing on Mache paste, laying some toilet paper down, brushing that down into it to kind of pull everything together. I'm going to start on the bottom and roll all the way around to the top. Let's see if I can get this all, this layering done all in one setting. Then after that dries out and see how it looks, will depend on, whether we add more vines to it. The ends of these legs, at least the front ones, I probably am going to do some kind of a point type of thing to it. The ones in the middle that are going straight down, I'm not really going to bother with. The back legs, I may do the same thing, but that'll all be added on after all this stuff is pretty much done. Get all that on there, and this is all dried out really nice. Everything's nice and hard. I like the texture with this. That looks pretty cool. So really, what do we have left? I've got to get some pinchers. I got to get some pinchers on the front of this thing. The ends here, I need to bring these down and make some little pointy pieces. I'm going to do that on the front. And I need a little texture right here, but I left that so I could do all that when I did these. And I need to do it on at least one of the back legs because it's up off the ground. But the middle legs, since they come all the way down flush, I'm not going to do anything there. We're just going to add some more texture to that. But I want to finish out this face first. So we're going to do the pinchers, and then I think I may even glue in the little things for the eyes. I think that's what we're going to do. So, pinchers. I know what I'm going to do for pinchers. A long time ago, when I made the wolf and some other things, I did some cold porcelain myself. And then after that, I also just rolled some stuff out of I can't remember what it was. It was a baking style clay or whatever. But I got these. They're not the exact same size. They don't look the exact same. I really don't care. I'm going to dig in a couple holes right there in the front. And then stick these things in and make some little gnarly pinchers coming off of there. Now in the past, even when I did the wolf and I was mixing stuff like cold porcelain and stuff like that with my Mache, I did have over about 2 or 3 years I had some of those teeth wanting to fall back out. And I don't know really what it was from. So this time I'm going to use a two-part. I got a 2-part epoxy, and when I cut these holes in, I'm going to glue them in with that 2-part epoxy. I think that'll hold up longer. So let me do this. I'm going to get these in, cut these holes. I'm just going to use a Dremel and make a circle and Dremel down in there so I can recess those in, and then I'm going to epoxy them in. Once I get them epoxied in, I've got some ideas for how I'm going to do something kind of like a mouth or whatever on the front to this, and I'll meet you in just a minute. Okay, so just like that, drill that out when you got a couple little things, whatever you want to call them. This is basically the pattern that I'm going to do for the eyes. I think maybe 5-minute epoxy, I'm not sure how I'm going to pull that off. But I'm going to go ahead, I'm having a little fun here, and I've got some smaller, like little teeth things down here. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing here. I'm going to drill these out a little bit so I can countersink them in, a little 5-minute epoxy in there, and have those all up in there. And then when all this is done, I'm going to take some more toilet paper and Mache paste and blend these in with the spider itself all the way around that. Okay, so we've got those in there. You know, I don't know. It doesn't look too bad, but it doesn't just look the greatest in the world. And I went ahead and did these eyes too. Didn't film any of that, but I had this 5-minute epoxy mixed up, and I just wanted to go ahead and get them into place. They still have to get, you know, tissue paper and toilet paper done around the sockets there and kind of bring that all together. We're going to do the same thing here, hide some of these punctures in here with the teeth and get all that stuff in. So what I'm going to do now is working on bringing these. And by the way, these are just little red diamond things or something you can get at Hobby Lobby or whatever. They're for jewelry, but I thought they'd make pretty good eyes. So what I'm going to do is work on getting some toilet paper around the eyes and kind of blend this stuff into the head a little bit better so they're not just setting on top. And then blending around these fangy teeth things or whatever the heck they're supposed to be. Get that all cleared up. So I'm just going to use little bitty tiny pieces of toilet paper and going to work that all around. I'm going to use a very, very small paintbrush as well to work this stuff with. Alright, let's talk about these ends real quick and just show you and bounce the camera around what I'm going to do. What I would have done, but I can't find my heat gun, I would have melted this down, just pinched it together and made a tip on it, and I would have done it to all of them. There's some where my heat gun's at, so I'm not going to do that. These two, one of them touches the ground, one of them really doesn't. Like I said before, these here, they're going to go straight to the ground, so I'm not going to worry about that. But that one back leg back there, it's off the ground. So I'm going to do this to it. The other back leg, it touches the ground too, so I'm not going to worry about it. For the most part, you're not really going to see that. It's going to be sitting there. All I did, took a little bit of newspaper, wadded it up into a point, taped it up. Then I'm just going to insert it right in the end here. I'm going to tape this up around this so I can kind of get this to look like it's a natural drop to it, not so severe, but and then blend it all together. I think that'll work. It should. So we're going to go with it, and I think maybe I'm going to hot glue it into place just for some extra support inside there, and then tape it up, and then mache around it. So that's the plan. Time to paint this thing. First thing I want to do is just base this thing all in black, and I'm using a flat latex exterior outdoor paint. I mean, you could paint it with whatever black paint you wanted. This is going to go out in the yard. It'll sit out there for 30 days in the rain. So everything that I do, even using the wood glue in my mix, everything I do is to help protect this thing from the weather. So first thing, layer of exterior flat black paint, then we'll go from there. Alright, so he's all based out in black, doesn't look too bad. I'm going to do something I haven't done in a long time. I'm going to go ahead and dry brush the whole thing white, and then do all the paint work after that. Haven't done that in a long time. I'm going to do it on this, hoping I can get a little more depth in it. By the time I wind up layering so much paint on it, it may not even, this step may not even be useful. But I'm going to go ahead and try it anyway. So we got dry brush. Yeah, see, boom, boom, dry brush. Got the white on there. It's probably a waste of time on the pumpkin side because I'm going to pretty much, I think I'm going to do my standard paint where it's just, if you guys, I can't remember what, there's a couple videos out there painting pumpkins, and I go with a darker orange and lighten it up steadily through layers and layers and layers, create these highlights, really round everything out. Takes a lot of time. I think I'm going to do that. The purpose for the dry brush and doing it this way is you can water down your paints and make it more like a wash, and then put that over it, and then the white picks up that paint, makes it brighter, and then of course the black background makes the paint darker, and you can get a pretty quick and pretty in-depth paint job like that fast. I may water down this first one and see how it goes. I'm going to start on the pumpkin part first. We're going to paint that first, and then we're going to move to this, the body. The body's going to be really a whole lot more just the wash type of stuff, but then I'm going to really try to highlight these little viney parts of it. And I don't know if I'm going to go light with that or dark. I really thought about washing it all down and then coming back in and painting these things black again. I don't know. I've never had, since I started this, I haven't had a clear picture on how I was going to paint the body. Pumpkin, yeah, that's easy. So we're going to paint the pumpkin, get that part set up first, get that going. And then we're going to move to this. And I'm just going to play it by ear, see what happens. Anyway, yeah, so my pumpkins, I always start off, this is just a brown, I mean, just plain, that's brown. And then this is just, well, it's actually called pumpkin orange. Never really realized that. This is what I get all the time. I'll muddy it down with this, put a little orange in it, that way we'll have a dark orange to start off with as a base. I'm digging the way that looks. It doesn't look too bad. And I think I'm going to leave it. I don't think I'm going to go ahead. I don't think I'm going to do any more highlighting in it. If I do anything, I may do like a little yellow dry brush on top here and there. But overall, I think that turned out pretty good for the pumpkin and the pumpkin color. Because I want it to be like, I don't want it to be like a big, just bright orange pumpkin. Some of the ones I do really got kind of a brightness to them, and I don't want to do that. I want to keep this a little on the darker side, so I think we're going to leave that there. So now we're just going to take and water down some brown, and I'm going to hit all the body part with just a solid brown first. Oh, and these little things, I'm going to leave these white. I may put a little yellow tint to them, because in my head, what I picture this is the, like the pumpkin seeds coming out, right? So these are the pumpkin seeds coming out that create the fangs and all this stuff, and this is the vine, that's the pumpkin. So every part of it's really, you know, part of the pumpkin. It's the whole idea. But yeah, let's get some brown on this thing. The brown wash is done. It looks pretty good. Dried up overnight. You know, it's popping out some of those details, but I think I'm going to do it on the bottom side first and see how it looks. Got this real dark. It's almost like a forest green. I think I'm going to take this down and water it down too, and then just kind of on all these deeper spots on these insides and these ridges. I think I'm going to hit that with this green and see how that looks. Think about adding that in there, get a little greens in there, and then come back with some lighter browns on all these kind of ridges like this and bring those out and highlight them a little bit more. I think that may add just a little more contrast to it. I don't know. I'm half tempted just to leave it just like this. But I just felt like it needed... It doesn't look bad. I just feel like maybe it needs more depth. So I'm going to play around on the bottom side. So since you really can't see that, we're going to see how that looks.
On a complication. Complication. I'm a simple man. Don't want a complication. Complication.
Sometimes it's just hard to say enough is enough. But I'm going to call it quits, or I'm going to call it good. Green turned out pretty decent. I like it. It adds a little more depth into this. Makes these little viney things pop out a little bit more. So overall, it doesn't look too bad. I mean... It looks really, really green in this video. It's not quite that green in person. But we did a little highlighting around the eyes there. I don't know how well it's picking that up. But overall, I mean, really, it doesn't look too bad. And I could probably just spend hours playing with the paint and changing things around and adding a little more color here and there and really playing with it. But I'm going to call this thing good, right? I mean, yeah, I'm calling that good. I think it turned out pretty decent. I don't know. You guys tell me how you think it turned out. I think it looks pretty freaking cool. Done. Didn't turn out too bad. I don't think so anyway. It looks pretty good. Happy with it. I know this really wasn't much of a tutorial, but hopefully with everything that I got there, you guys can kind of follow along. At least you get an idea of how I did it, you know, and then hopefully with the information that was there, you can go on and create your own from home to, you know, that type of thing. That way you can learn how to do it. But I did have some of those comments on Facebook, and I want to keep my eye out on Spirit of Halloween, because this is the first pumpkin spider that I know of, and let's see what happens, or, you know, who knows. Spirit of Halloween, if you guys are out there and you're needing ideas and looking for ideas, or you like this, hit me up. I'd be willing to maybe work with you guys. Beyond that, guys, I hope you liked it. There's going to be a lot going on. There's going to be some more videos coming up. Super busy. Got myself in a bit of a deal. Super busy. So on the next one, I'll be explaining what's going on. But there'll be a lot coming up here pretty soon, all before Halloween. Stay tuned. Thanks a lot. Before I forget, if you haven't subscribed and you like this type of stuff, want to learn how to make things with paper mache or make props on the cheap, subscribe. There's a whole video log of all different kinds of tutorials on this page, from different styles, different ways to do pumpkins, just all kinds of stuff. Spell books, bats, just lots of stuff. It's all there. And go check it all out. Give this a thumbs up, and hit that little notification bell too. That way you guys know when I post a video. Until next time, keep making something from nothing.